reflexology in itself is a very detailed technique, but it can be as simple as just pressing certain pressure points on your hands and your feet to alleviate symptoms of even things like headaches.
Like she used to do that to me at school.
Yeah, chronic headaches. Yeah, so
What?
that's the fun thing about it.
Welcome to the next episode of
Hello,
BlessedPod.
everyone.
Hello. So today we have a very intriguing guest today.
She's very special.
Very special
Very
lady
interesting.
that I met through high school. And I will just quickly go through the numerous different things that she does. We're going to start off with the volunteer work she does. So she volunteers and Good Samaritan Medical Reflexology Research Foundation. Wow. Then she also works at Good Samaritan Natural Therapy Centre. She's a coordinate for Our Lady of the Rosary Parish Youth Choir and acts as a youth leader at United in Love Prayer Group. But that doesn't top it off because she also is in Bachelor of Science. I can't even pronounce like the...
Let me try.
Let's go.
Let me try pronounce.
It's
Anatomy.
Bachelor Anatomy, Histology major, History and Philosophies of Science minor.
That's
Quite
it.
the resume.
Boom.
Quite the CV there.
So basically, she gonna be a doctor, man. It's my doctor friend. Welcome, Giselle.
Welcome,
Thanks for
welcome,
having me.
welcome.
It's so great to be here. It
Welcome.
really is.
Welcome.
Oh,
Very
thank
happy to have you
for
here.
coming through.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you.
We're gonna talk to a
We are
doctor
going to-
today.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty
right?
much.
It's a long road, but
Long way, but basically,
hey-
we just call you the doctor. You know.
Well, yeah.
I'll
We're
just
gonna
go.
manifest it for you.
okay.
So-
Thanks,
You're gonna go
guys.
back to this and be like,
Yeah.
that's what.
That was the moment.
that was
yeah.
the
I mean, we don't talk to many doctors like that we
Exactly.
know, so this is gonna be pretty
I
cool.
think she's like the only one that I know that's like a doctor.
Well, me
Going
too.
down that
Study.
path,
Yeah.
at least.
Pretty much
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go straight into the intro questions. Name 3 ways you're blessed today.
Okay, so it's really hard to narrow it down to 3 ways, isn't
Yeah, I
it?
know.
Yeah, so I think definitely one is my faith, and then the important people around me, so family and friends, and just lastly, the everyday, because we're blessed every day. Like,
Yeah.
Of course.
you know, just life in itself is so amazing. And even when it doesn't appear that way, when you look back, really, everything leads up to a certain point that you need to be eventually in the future.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
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 Beautiful, nice and short. And so basically, she kind of answered like why she feels blessed in a way.
Mhm.
Did you want to elaborate further on that, or did you feel like you did yourself justice there?
Yeah, I think that's it. We
Yeah?
keep it concise. Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Alright,
that.
Have you
I like
always
that.
felt blessed?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah?
I think, like, obviously, like, going back again, what I said just a little while ago is you'll have moments in life where you're going to be down and you're going to think, you know.
And we want to hear about those moments, by
Yeah,
the
of
way.
course.
'cause
Yeah,
we all
yeah,
have
no,
downers,
it's
Yeah.
all a
and we
learning
all have
process.
uppers.
You have to look at those times where, you know, the storm comes over before you can see the sun, you know, before the silver lining
Wow.
appears. You have to go through
Very-
those dark moments.
You can really paint that picture really well. I don't know, for some reason I pictured that in my
She's
head.
so
and
good
it was
at school.
perfect.
Oh my
That
god.
it was very perfect.
And I kind of already touched on like what you currently do. Is there anything else outside of that that I didn't really mention?
Oh, well, that's basically it. I'm an anatomy and histology major. I also did a
Mhm.
minor in history and philosophy of science. I do a little bit of tutoring of high school kids here and there. So I work with a lot of children, again, with that youth choir. So it's really my passion, working with young people
Yeah.
and
Nice.
interacting with young people as well. So, yeah.
Well, definitely.
So you're gonna
get
be a
into some of that.
pediatrician?
Yeah, that's
Is that the
that's
one?
the dream.
Oh
That's it.
yeah. I had a dream once upon a time. I wanted to go down that path.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in
Oh,
year 10, I was
wow.
had the stethoscope and everything.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
So
yeah,
committed, eh?
pediatrician. Yeah. Sorry, babe. We'll keep it on track here.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, later. I'll go straight into like the question where it's like, why become a doctor? What is your why?
So it was actually a
good
surprise to
one.
me. It's been a path that I've been on for about almost 10 years now because I decided when I was in high school. But it was actually interesting because when I was 10 years old, I was so convinced that I was going to be a teacher. Because my grandmother on my dad's side is actually a teacher, and she was a teacher at all different levels. So she was a dean at college, and she was a primary school principal. And so early on, she really instilled in me that real gratitude and kind of yearning for education and for learning and growing.
Yeah.
Like not just in any sort of institution like a school, but just
Yeah.
on your own, growing on your own and always learning new things, gaining new skills. And so I was so convinced that I was going to be a teacher. I kept telling my parents and my family, I'm going to be a teacher all the way. And then when I was 14 and I was in high school, one assignment in school changed my life. And it was actually in a class that I didn't really enjoy all that much because I'm not particularly good at sports. So shout out to any of my PDHP teachers, I suppose. I love the subject in theory, but I wasn't that great in the practical of it. But I did a first aid topic in that year, and I had to do some research. So I was reading a first aid book, and I eventually just started poring over those books when I was at that age. And I said, oh, wow, this is so interesting. And then just took it from there. And I decided then, I wanted to be a doctor, I suppose. Wanted to go down that career path. And from there, it just full steam ahead.
How old are you?
I was 14.
What
so
the?
year 9. It's been a long time that I've had this dream.
It started with first aid, and then
started with first aid, yeah.
It just snowballed.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's a good way to put it. It definitely snowballed.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, first aid to doctor. Like, that's crazy. Like,
she had it in her.
Yeah. No, definitely. I was just like, I wouldn't have been able to.
A-grade student, man.
Yeah. I think that's the difference between you and me. You're way more ambitious.
Oh, no. It's definitely not been like a direct path. There have been so many like turns along the way.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the questions we
I think it shocks people when they find out, like, you've wanted to do this for so long. Like, hasn't it been a straight road? It's definitely not been a straight road.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
Do you want to go into that question, Freddie?
Oh, what was the question, babe? Sorry, I thought you were asking the question.
I think it was the toughest hurdle or toughest challenge.
Sorry, babe. Oh, yeah. The toughest. Oh, yeah. What was the toughest challenge you had to overcome? It doesn't have to be even just in relation to, obviously,
like
your
uni.
Your uni and all that, just in general.
I think the toughest challenge, it would probably be deciding really what I wanted to do.
Because then you have to like full commit.
Yeah,
that's right for me.
Because it's a really long road, and
By
it affected.
What's the road?
Yeah, you should like.
So
everyone knows that
because it affected different aspects of my life. It wasn't just like I couldn't compartmentalize my life in that sense. Like I just have, my family and my friends and my social events and things like that. And then my study, I couldn't compartmentalize my life because this was going to be a career that was going to affect all of it.
Yeah.
And it's not like I could down the road, when I eventually get there, it's not like I'm going to be able to just work a 9 to 5, go home, and that's it. Don't think about work, and then do the same thing over and over again. And it was a challenge for me because I'm a person who loves routine, and I really thrived on routine. That's why I did enjoy school growing up, because we were just like, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., just doing the same thing day in and day out for years and years and years. And I loved planning. And this career path really threw me in the deep end, because one of the things you need is spontaneity. And that's something I definitely lacked when I was younger. Definitely.
Really? Okay, please explain.
Yeah, so I think when you look at any medical profession, like doctors and nurses and anyone in the healthcare sector, what they're dealing with is the unexpected. You know,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what you mean.
it's
That's what
you
mean.
walk into work and you don't know what's going to come at you that day. Every day is
Right.
different. You don't know what you're going to face, and each day potentially could change your life as a person, could change your experiences. And for someone who loves planning and loves routine, I was really to the book planning out from when I was in primary school, my holiday days. I'd wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. and plan what I was going to do in a day.
You should see the
In the
her,
holidays.
like plan out. Like
I
it's
believe
all
you.
like color coded and like
Yeah,
I believe
yeah.
you.
colors of pens. And
I
all
love that structure, and suddenly wanting to pursue a career where I kind of had to throw it out the window, where I had to have the discipline to have the routine and the planning, but at the same time, the everyday would just be me walking in and saying, you know, just got to put my hands up and just take whatever comes through the door and take it on the chin and just overcome those challenges. That was definitely a struggle for me, thinking if I wanted to commit to a life like that.
Yeah.
And so there was definitely a lot of doubt. Like, is this what I want to do? Maybe I should just go back to another pathway. Should I have a fallback? Is something that I definitely asked myself over and over again through the years. Yeah.
Still up to now.
Up until now, yeah. But the thing that has really grounded me is that I keep going back to that dream
Yeah.
and keep going back to the path. And because I have that hesitation about wanting to leave it, like thinking,
Well, how many years altogether? Because you say like it's a long road. So like how long?
so I would have to do, so I'm still
You're
planning.
halfway there, would you say?
I'm still planning to do, yeah, almost halfway.
Oh,
So
nice,
maybe
nice, well
in the
done.
next 6 years, call
So
me
how many
again
years have
and
you
we'll,
already done?
Wow.
we'll see. Beg
How
your
many
pardon?
years have you already done?
So I've done 5 years because I've done
And then another 6 years. on top of
another,
that.
6 years because I'll do 2 years of
Damn.
masters and
Yeah.
then 4 years of medical school.
Yeah, you definitely can't, fuck around in that industry. It's crazy because hearing that it obviously for you it hasn't been a straight road, but knowing also that it scares you,
Mm-hmm.
and like I kind of know that from like firsthand. Like when it scares you, like that's when you know, like you're kind of on the right path. Like, you know what I mean? Though, like
Yeah,
it fucking scares
yeah.
you. Like you could just go
Otherwise
the
you
other
don't
way.
care.
Yeah, you
Like-
have to have a fear of risking something if you're going to risk
Yeah.
for
For
something
fucking
worth
anything.
doing.
Yeah.
Really.
And you're already halfway there, so you might as well just go all in.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest part there, because you're halfway there. It's a full-on commitment,
Mhm.
and you're already adjusting to the idea of opening up to the whole spontaneity
Mhm.
side of things. So you're really out of your comfort zone. I think for me, like I appreciate both the structure and like the planning. Like I like school too.
Mhm.
Like I think that's what I liked about it as well. I think now that I think about it.
You did pretty good, I swear.
But I think with anything as well, because in my line of work, it's almost the same thing. You're gonna get days where, or every day is gonna be different as well.
Yeah,
So it's very,
yeah.
it's like when I think about it, it's not much different, but because you're gonna be dealing with a whole nother level of problems compared to
Yeah.
me.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think nursing wasn't even on the table. It's like, nah, doctor.
Yeah,
Right?
it was just straight
Yeah,
in.
that's what I'm
Straight up
thinking.
doctor.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, nursing, doctor. You know what I
Like
mean?
even like paramedics, like paramedicine, I was like, oh, maybe I should be a no, we're just gonna go
Yeah,
all the way.
I think that's a step above, like, because you're there and you have, like, you're the first
Yeah.
responder, right? That's like,
See, that's definitely, I had a friend as well in high school and she wanted to do paramedicine. And I was like, okay, that's a whole new level because there is no filter when you're doing that. Definitely. As a first responder, you see it all. At least like
Yeah.
when you're a doctor, you're in a like clinical environment.
in a facility.
Yeah, facility. You
sterile.
have all of the equipment there,
Yeah.
but for them, they have a set amount of equipment and they just have to
My
work with it.
Lord.
Yeah. So hats off to those people as well because
Yeah.
that's definitely like right up there.
I think I know what you mean, because I'd be like shaking and frozen. I'm like, now I've got to
Yeah.
deal with that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and my colleague or whatever, like I wouldn't even know. Like for me, like that's why it's not. I already kind of like am scared of blood.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind it, but I just don't want to see it. So I know that's not for me.
Yeah.
Like, if you know what I
And
mean.
some of the things that they deal with is like really confronting, like
Right.
knowing, the things that they,
Oh yeah,
the
hell
things
yeah.
that they see. and they wake up every day, like, and it's amazing the incredible work that they do, that they get up and they know that
Yeah.
they're going to face certain challenges. They just don't know what.
No, good on them. I think you have to
Yeah.
be almost like another level of like adrenaline junkie almost. I wouldn't say yeah, but that'll help if you have that personality type.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like just to really make, because I'm curious, like because you're halfway there, you know people that are doing what you want to do
Yes.
already,
Yes.
and you've had conversations with
Mhm,
them,
mhm.
and so you know what it's like and what the daily would look like for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How's
What is
that?
it like?
Has it changed from what you originally thought, and then they kind of just like, oh yeah, wait, is it any different to what you originally thought?
Oh, it's very different because
Oh,
I
right.
think everyone goes into like leaves high school with a certain perception of how life is going to be after that.
Easy.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that when you leave high school, your perception is going to be completely different to what you're actually going to be faced
Very
with.
true.
And the path that you're going to go down is definitely going to take twists and turns.
Yeah.
Only a small number of people actually do leave high school with a completely direct path and finish that way.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so when I was talking to friends of mine who have gone down the full road to medicine,
Yep.
particularly, I was very lucky in anatomy to be surrounded by medical students all the time because they were the ones who actually tutored us in the labs.
Right.
And so whenever there was free time, a lot of us would just go up to them and ask them some questions. And seeing them and what they do, it definitely was a surprise to me. I was like, oh, it's a lot different to
than
what
you
I
thought.
ever would have expected
Yeah.
them to have to do.
In what sense? Like a lot more hands-on than you
Yeah,
thought.
definitely hands-on. Well, when I did my first lab, it was also unexpected, and that's kind of a precursor to medicine as well, anatomy and histology. So they actually put us in the lab, and straight up we were handling human specimens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
That's insane.
like the prosections
Yeah.
as well. So like the arms and the legs, and we actually had to like hold them, you know, with respect, obviously,
Yeah,
but we had
yeah.
to like pull on the muscles to see the movements. And I was really taken aback because
Yeah.
I just left high school, and the most you
Whoa.
do there is probably dissection of like a bullseye or something like
Ah,
that.
yeah.
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 And
That's
it's still like, you know, you think that's already really out there, but they just, you walk into a lab.
That's
you're-
good though. That's good
Yeah.
that they did that. You just go straight in.
Yeah,
Like,
they just went
go
straight in, and you're in your gloves and your lab
Yeah.
coat. And I remember in my second year, I had some first year people in my class, and when the coordinator, she pulled off the cloth covering the specimen, it was actually a head.
Oh.
And all of the first
Ah.
years, yeah, they looked at me and they were like, "Is that real?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like this is welcome to anatomy."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on.
What were they like doing with the head though? Like were they like
What was
Oh,
it?
so we
a
were
skull, or was it a full-on head with the tissue and?
yeah, with the tissue and
Oh.
with the full
they're prepared
everything?
That is
in a
crazy.
certain way, but we were looking at the muscles of the face,
Yeah.
and so we would have a persection there, and it can be quite confronting for a lot of people because you think like this person who lived and
Yeah.
who died and who amazingly donated their body to science, so that, you know, medical students and anatomy students, science students have the
Yeah.
opportunity to work with the real thing.
Yeah, I
Because
was gonna,
yeah, a model can
That's
only
cool.
go so far.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was,
Is that something I have to like sign off on something like, hey, like if I die, like who makes that decision?
yeah,
Yeah.
they do make the decision themselves.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool. I
yeah.
was gonna say.
It's similar to organ donation,
Oh, okay.
but a lot of people don't know so much about it as well because it is definitely really out there
Yeah.
for some people, but
Yeah.
people have been doing it for years, and it's something that we really also are so grateful for, anyone in the scientific community, for that opportunity to study, and it's done really respectfully for that life that
Oh,
was
100%,
Yeah.
100%. So you know those first years, obviously you were
Mhm.
first year once. When you saw the head, were you like like, how did you, because that's shocks me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
were you like already like, oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think
standard,
I
I
shocked
expected this.
the both of you as well, because for me it's become such a normal part of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I'm sure you shocked
Dealing
the
with that.
listeners too. Like the listeners are what?
But like the thing is, right? I'm thinking because you have a duty of care as a doctor,
Mhm.
like any other professional, like whatever line you're in, especially if it's kids or whatever, right?
Mhm.
It's particularly doctors and in healthcare, right? What's the whole like? I know you don't make decisions for the patient, but like, is the whole motto like to preserve life? Like, what is the whole like? What's the motto?
Yeah, so I think the main thing that we go by is the Hippocratic Oath.
What's
And so that's all about, yes, the preservation of life and to do no
Hippocratic Oath.
harm, to really, give a person their best chance. And yeah,
wow.
you can't coerce a patient
Oh, 100%.
into taking a certain treatment path, even if it is the best for them. But as a doctor or even a nurse or a paramedic, what you have, which is really incredible, is that opportunity to guide a person with your expertise and your knowledge in order to help them make the best decisions about their health. And looking at your previous podcast, you were talking about health is wealth.
Yeah, health is wealth.
Yeah,
health is
so-
wealth, guys.
Yeah,
Health is
so
wealth.
it's definitely along those lines. You are a vessel. You act as a vessel, as an instrument, as a person who can assist them, to give them the knowledge that they need to make the best decision for their health.
For them. And I'm sure you'll come across a situation where this is the best way to go about things, and they might not be on the same page. You're almost a counselor at the same time.
Mhm.
Psychologist, psychiatrist, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Are you
definitely.
actually like that? As like, would you have to be, is that like a doctor, like an all-rounder?
Yeah, they do.
That's like
Doctors
so much work.
do
That's
have
so
to
good.
do study in psychology and
Yeah.
psychiatry, because when you're dealing with your health and you're dealing with sickness, and there's life at stake, especially if it's a family member and it's just it's a sudden occurrence,
Yeah.
and it's an unexpected event that has occurred, you have to have the skills to be able to counsel them in a way that is nurturing, but also to the point. You have to get down to, you have to be completely honest. But there has to be a certain filter as well to deliver it in the best way possible.
Yeah. So that means you have to have good communication, good. Wow, that this is like, you're really unpacking what it takes to become like a doctor, and it's very harder than I thought. I knew it was hard, and like much respect to everyone, but like the path to get there and what you need to be the best, obviously, because you want to be the best. You want to obviously do really well. It's not as easy as I thought.
Yeah, even for me,
this is crazy.
me who did all of the research of what I was getting into, every time I learn something new, I think, oh, how am I going to apply this? There's so much. It's almost like an overload.
Yeah.
And then you have to step back and think, okay, take it one day at a time and really do it bit by bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, yeah, sorry. Just going into, obviously you have 5 years experience underneath your belt. What's the most like confronting thing that you faced? I don't know, in like at uni or in practice, like, you know what I mean? Like, like you, like, I don't know, like, have you seen like a real, like, oh fuck, like, I wouldn't say dead body, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean, right? Like, what's the most confronting? Like, did you see a bone stick out and you have to like assess and like,
oh, wow.
you have to do all that yet? No, I'm just very curious.
No, I've never had to
Do any of that?
be in a first aid position. We do deal with the cadavers, which are the prosections, the bodies in the labs.
Oh,
and
okay,
I think, that was definitely confronting. I think in the sense when I was a first year, definitely is making sure I didn't detach myself. That was a very...
Very important.
Because you have to really still remember that it's a life.
Yep.
And have that respect and gratitude for that. But at the same time, you have to be able to be resilient enough to work with it.
Yeah.
Because there were moments also where our coordinators in our labs would be like, if you need a moment to step out, take it.
Good on them.
As well, because we know that this is really out there for you, for a lot of you, or for most of you. And sometimes people would be even with that encouragement, they would think, I kind of have to put my walls up because
Yeah.
I don't want to seem like a person who can't deal with a situation like
100%.
this. Yeah, but you don't want to be completely detached either. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said about detached, because I think being exposed time after time, especially once you're in it, you're going to be dealing with a lot of shit, and you don't want to have that one time where you just have a lapse in just like what you're meant to be doing. Like, you know what I mean? Because you're going to be like, this guy's got a broken head, broken foot, broken neck, got a rib coming out of his chest or whatever. And then you're just going to be all of a sudden, you might lose that, what's it called? That you might lose that respect, or you might get detached, like because you're so desensitized.
Yes.
You're gonna be desensitized, and you might just fucking, I'm done with you. Like, you know what I mean?
You have to find like a sweet spot between the routine and being having that resilience to not be affected by certain situations, but then also allow yourself to feel it, to feel and grasp the situation so that you don't become desensitized. And I think we also see that that's something that even people who have been in the medical profession for a long time have struggled with too. Often we say, what makes a good doctor, and often what people relate to from the patients and is a doctor who listens, who has that care and that nurturing, not just someone who brushes them off, but then at the same time, when you study it more and the more that you look into it, the more that you understand why they might desensitize themselves from their experiences as well.
I totally get you, because the reason why I say that is because when I was looking into becoming like a social worker, and I just thought every day I'm going to be dealing with some person's problems, and I thought that's what I wanted at the time, and then I'm like, I'm going to get to the point where I don't care, and then I'm not going to be treating it as with the energy that I thought of going into the role, right? So that's pretty much the reason why I asked, is because obviously with that level of duty of care, it's going to be really important that you kind of like, no doubt that you're going to get there, like, because I'm very impressed with what you know already and everything. I know you still got like a long way to go, but I'm very confident that you'll get there. And it's crazy because like literally I'm picking your brain right now, because I'm just I'm very curious, like you're gonna have that. Because it's just crazy, man. Like, you can be doctor.
Like the first time that he's like asked so many different questions.
Yeah,
that aren't on the
that's what we're doing. We're going with the flow.
Yeah,
that's spontaneity. We're going wherever it takes us.
That's spontaneity. But like going to like, obviously, like you've spoken with people, in the field and everything like that. How do they keep? It's such an I don't know if you're on job for like 12 hours of the day, 14 hours, maybe 15 hours.
Like
what would be the day in the life like?
So the day in the life, it really depends on what specialization you do.
What do you want to go into?
So I wanted to do pediatric surgery.
Oh, right. Yes.
So really like
pediatrician.
Yeah. But in the operating room.
For pediatricians.
So pediatrics is dealing with is a branch of medicine dealing with young people, so obviously children from newborn until I think about the age of 17, at least in Australia.
Nice.
And so wanting to do surgery in that field is really different, because children in that age bracket are still growing. So it's not like for adults where everything is set in stone. And the interesting thing about our adult bodies is there's also a lot of like differences. Like sometimes when I was studying anatomy, you think everyone has one of these and one of these, but often people, like there's certain veins in the body or certain arteries or like branches in the body that are different. They'll say, oh, we have 7 to 12 of these. And you think, wait, some people have 7, some people have up to 12. I thought it was always consistent. Sometimes people's hearts are on the right side of their chest rather than their left. And you could go your whole life without knowing until you actually have to have a medical procedure done. And then they open you up and they say, oh my goodness, he's got this, he's got this. And so it's even more bizarre to think that, until a surgeon gets in there, they don't really know what they're looking at. And obviously now we have a lot of medical technologies and advancements that help us, like CT scans and MRIs and X-rays and things like that, which are really great. But for surgery, definitely it was it was a pathway that I wanted to take, and I still don't know. Maybe my decision will change further
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
the path. But I think a day in a life of
Yeah.
a GP, for example, is definitely where you have a set time as well,
Mm-hmm.
and they just see people in and out of their office every day.
Mm.
For someone who would work in a hospital, though, definitely they would probably be looking at maybe 16 to 18-hour days, day in
Wow.
and day out. The good thing, though, is that you do get periods of rest, but it's definitely there's definitely a struggle there to deal with burnout,
Yeah.
because you want these people who are in these situations where people are life and death and have really delicate health issues, that you want them to be the top of their game, but
Yeah.
like top of their game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, there's not always going to be people with the expertise available at the top of their game.
Right.
So
at the time.
yeah, at the
even.
time, and then we're only human, so we're going to run out of energy, and you have to find that balance. One of the interesting things that I found out is doctors who are on call.
Yeah.
So they're basically, if something happens and they have to check on a patient, they have the pager.
Mm-hmm.
Often they'll be in the break room, or like they'll be trying to get some rest in, just fitting in a little bit of sleep here and there,
Yeah.
and then their pager will go off, so they have to attend to that. And I always thought, what if I'm a doctor and I sleep through that pager? What if it's a situation and I'm the one who's responsible, who's on call in that ward at that time, and I'm not there?
Wow.
But obviously you wouldn't be the first person, nor will you be the last to
Yeah.
deal with circumstances like that. So they've worked it out pretty well. They have protocols and that. So I definitely did drill into some of my medical friends.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do when you make a mistake in where you can't make a mistake like that,
Oh
And
yeah, make a mistake
yeah,
and you
yeah.
can't like it's
where
there's no room for error at all.
yeah,
like,
yeah. So I think it's really incredible. Like, also, like, again, what
Yeah.
you get to see and what you get to hear about these people, and so
would you say there's like a shortage of people in healthcare, like staff wise, doctors, nurses, like?
I wouldn't say so much a shortage of people in healthcare. I would say more so in funding, rather.
Oh right.
Yeah, definitely, because
Please
um
elaborate.
obviously how far you can go is the allocation of healthcare, and we often see it's so good that we have resources now like GoFundMe's and things like that, because there are people out there who need life-saving, how would I say, maybe surgeries
Yeah.
or procedures,
Mm-hmm.
or even equipment, so like medication that they can't afford, even with government assistance. And I think that's a global issue as well, because we look at the inequality that exists, especially throughout the world. We're blessed to be in a country that does provide healthcare where you don't have to pay up front.
Yeah.
And there are people who face that every day, where they don't go to the hospital or to the doctor because they don't have the means to,
Yeah.
especially in places that have poverty in third world countries. So where you can't actually have the healthcare that you need because
Yeah.
you can't pay for it. And even in a first world country, the allocation of healthcare, who decides where it goes and where it's needed most? There's always going to be inequities and inequalities. And
Is there
things like that.
input like by like the board of like health or what people like at the top of your industry, right, to like liaise with the government to like allocate those funds appropriately? Does that make sense?
Definitely, yeah. It's
like communication.
yeah.
Right?
They definitely communicate. That's why we have our political members as well, to communicate the needs of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And where health is concerned, it's very good that people are like making movements in order to improve healthcare, because it's definitely what we need. And we see that especially today with the impending like pandemic that's going on,
good old corona.
It's an issue that we're starting to see, like, how prepared are we and how prepared can we be, and do we have the funds to do that? And I think definitely governments around the world are putting aside more funding to prevent. They always say prevention is better than
Better
cure.
than cure, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we're
Yeah.
always moving towards.
100%.
And so it's good to see that they're moving in that direction, definitely. But
Yeah.
you can't please everyone all the time.
100%.
Definitely.
Of course.
So people can only do it as well as they can do.
What would be the ideal, and this is I'm just going one after the other here. Like, what would be the ideal, like, you let's say you're fully fledged, stamp of approval, certified, everything, like doctor, right? What would be like the ideal, like, position that you want to be in? Like, let's say you reach your peak. What would that peak look like? Like, what would you be doing? You'd be doing pediatric surgery. You'd probably have a team that you're managing, right? I mean, what does that look like? I mean, it's
So for me, it's quite interesting because where I work, I grew up with my dad as a reflexologist.
Oh yeah, please.
So
let's talk
I
about
work
that, yeah.
at the Good Samaritan Natural Therapy Center.
What's a reflexologist?
So
Sorry?
reflexology,
I'm dumb, yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. It's actually considered to be an alternative, like healthcare provider. And a lot of the time, people don't really know so much about reflexology. I always grew up with that question: "Oh, what does your dad do? Oh, is he he's a reflexologist?" And they'll be like, "Oh, what's that?"
It sounds like I've heard this word before.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm glad that more word is getting out about it. So it's a non-invasive technique to help with certain medical issues. And the great thing about being non-invasive is that it's natural.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get scared when they hear the word natural.
I love hearing that word, by the way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know
Some
why.
people like really go for it, but a lot of the time, when they think of a medical procedure, they have to think about things like really far advancements, like, all of the medications, the pharmaceuticals and everything like that, the equipment.
Yeah.
And for something, reflexology in itself is a very detailed technique, but it can be as simple as just pressing certain pressure points on your hands and your feet to alleviate symptoms of even things like headaches.
She used to do that to me at school.
Yeah, chronic headaches. Yeah, so
What?
that's the fun thing about it. So my dad actually, we're living life in practice. So my dad would actually teach me. So for girls who would have menstrual pains,
back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day when we were in high school, and it can be really crippling. You're at school. What do? You take Panadol. But then my dad taught me how to use reflexology to press certain points on my hands that would help alleviate that pain.
That is insane.
Without having to rely on Panadol and things like that.
Yeah.
So often whoever I was sitting next to in class would be the brunt of my my clinical application. So I would be like to them, they'd be like, my stomach, it hurts. And I'd be like, okay, pass me your hand under the desk. But don't scream because it's gonna hurt. Okay?
Oh my god.
So it does hurt. It hurts. So if I would press a certain point on your hand, the best place are the feet because it has a larger surface area.
Right.
Okay.
But then the hands you can do in a pinch. You can just be sitting there at your desk or wherever in class, and I would press these and they would kind of like wince under the table, but I'd be like, just endure it because it's gonna make that feel better. And then after maybe like a couple of minutes they would be all right.
They do
actually
fine?
were
Yeah, and they can get through their day.
far out.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah,
This is video. Show like where the pressure point.
Okay,
of, like,
so just on your hand. So this is always the few that I know. It's like the stomach
she's
is
pointing to,
here.
like, the
Yep.
thumb,
So the
bottom
palm
of the thumb.
here,
Yep.
just underneath your
The
thumb. Your thumb at the top for headache. Just in between your thumb and your index finger for sinus, and then the appendix on this side as well. And so those are the few that I
That's
know.
insane.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Because the whole idea with reflexology is that your body is connected through nerves and pathways and everything like that. Because
I
your
love
brain is telling you where the pain is.
Yeah.
And so by accessing the points, these like connections through our hands and our feet, if everything is connected, should we be able to send signals to different parts of our body, we should be able to reach them from
You're
the outer
blowing my
side.
mind right now. This is incredible. That's why I'm so speechless right now.
It's
I'm
great.
just taking it all in.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
by using that reflexology, we can like my dad's passion is really what's inspired me throughout the years, because when he's taught me these things, often people are scared because it's like too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even things like hormonal imbalances, like how
Yeah.
else would you be able to alleviate those imbalances without like what they would say now, like pharmaceuticals,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
antidepressants and things like that. And there are a whole range of different side effects that come from that, because we're introducing into our systems like different mediums that
Yeah.
affect the neurochemistry of our brain. So we see people act out with these medications because the normal function, what's considered to be the normal function, is being disrupted.
Yeah.
But that's only to balance something else. You know, if
Yeah.
you give something, you got to take something away, kind of.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no,
it
that
might
makes
be their
sense.
lucidity or something like that. It might be, you know, a normal emotional response. And often people do have to rely on these medications for life, because it's the only way that they can see relief. But with reflexology, what it does is it balances without having to be invasive in other ways. So you won't have to risk the neurochemistry of your brain changing and things like that.
That's so
Yeah,
true.
because it's all natural. You're not
There's
introducing
no long-term
anything.
impact. Or
Yeah, you're not
anything,
introducing anything new to your body, rather. And then
good.
there's the whole incorporation of diet. So if we do digress back to the question of what my dream was, it would be doing pediatric surgery, but incorporating, you know, all of the things that I've learned from my dad and what he's done. And taking it to another level where I use reflexology, because there's nothing to lose, really.
Yeah.
It's natural, it's non-invasive, and it's something that hasn't really been done, hasn't really been explored. There's a lot of skepticism, particularly in the medical field. And if that's the field that I want to work in, I'm going to have to deal with people that are saying, you know, how can you say that this works?
Wow, really?
Which
Yeah,
brings
but
me to, I just want to quickly mention, like, you wanted, your dad wants to like fund, like funds or something like that.
Yeah. So I work for the Good Samaritan Natural Therapy Center.
Oh, yeah.
We actually have a charity under us that's called the Good Samaritan Medical Reflexology Research Foundation. And so what we do there is we also assist people who might not be in a position to, might have certain ailments and don't have the means to seek treatment in other healthcare facilities. So we assist them financially as well. So we have a team of amazing volunteers who have gone through training for a number of years to help administer the reflexology. And then it's these patients come in, and they're research cases as well, and they come in and they can donate if they want to, if they're not able to pay because they've got other medical needs that they have to pay for. We say that's fine. It's quite new. We're about to turn 1 year old.
Wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you. In 2 days,
Oh,
actually.
wow.
Oh.
So it's only been a year that we've been up and running, and it's a DGR, which means that it's tax deductible as well. We are trying to get some word out there. There's a lot of exciting plans happening, but it's really great to be part of a foundation that, you know, doesn't exclude people just because, you know, they might not be able to. And there's so many amazing like charities out there as well.
Yeah.
This is one that I'm really definitely passionate about. So yeah.
Love it.
Good to hear. Yeah, no, that's definitely good. I'm definitely keen to help out that cause. That's very cool. I'm very curious because the whole reflexology thing and the fact that your dad's a reflexologist, and you've just opened my eyes to this whole reflexology, and you're trying to, obviously you want to incorporate it, you know, later down the line, like while you're doing pediatrics, right? Like, has he influenced you to become a doctor? Like,
Ah,
that's sort of
That's always an interesting question, isn't it? Like,
because like I didn't know you had a dad that's like in that.
mhm.
So
Well, my mom is actually, by her study from her education, also a physiotherapist.
what? Well, this is just a
Yeah.
it's in the family,
Yeah.
man. It's in the blood.
But then the interesting thing is when I told my parents when I decided that I really
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to be a doctor, they actually, surprisingly, in a way, discouraged me.
What? What the?
You'd think that it
Not
would be
enough.
every, like, I'm not trying to like go into the stereotypes, but every Asian parent's dream for their
Yeah.
child to be a doctor by
It's-
choice.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. That's
That was the last episode.
And
Oh,
then-
no,
yeah.
Audrey's episode,
Yeah.
sorry.
and then they're trying to discourage you. Oh my
That's
god!
crazy.
Like, is it reverse psychology or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that they're trying to do?
true,
Like,
maybe.
no. For my parents, because both of them having been in the medical field, because my dad obviously doing reflexology for as long as he has, my mom being a physiotherapist, and my mom actually comes from a family lineage in a way of nurses.
Oh yeah.
So my grandmother on my mother's side was a nurse during the war
Nah, nice.
as well.
Nice.
And her sisters are nurses as well. They have that insight into what it really entails. And so I think by discouraging me, they were looking out for me in the sense, like, you have to know really what you're going to be facing.
Yeah.
And knowing obviously my countenance, my demeanor, like as their child, I think, any parent's instinct is to protect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, so they actually said to me, that's a commitment. It's a commitment. And, if you want to do it, we'll support you. And they definitely have. There have been times where they keep asking me, like, are you sure this is really what you want to do? Because, they want to give me every opportunity that I have to know, really.
Yeah.
But whenever I tell them, they're always, 100%, 110% just supporting me the whole way. And, they really, shocked me. But
Yeah.
like normally
At the
I
time,
thought, I
yeah.
thought that they would be like really like, oh wow, like good on you and things like that. I think they definitely were more so like that when I told them I wanted to be a teacher. Actually,
Oh.
yeah.
Interesting.
They're like, yeah, be a teacher.
Yeah,
and then you said doctor.
yeah.
And what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want. You want this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I think they have influenced me, maybe not as much as they know, but it's mainly been from me observing
Just you.
them.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And then thinking about, like, what they are able to do. And it's really fun now because my parents have that medical terminology background.
Yeah.
And so it's quite funny
good is that?
because I was studying one time and I actually was studying for too long without taking a break. My brother laughs about this because he always jokes and says, oh, you hurt yourself by studying too hard. I actually gave myself lateral epicondylitis, also known as
Wowza.
tennis elbow.
Oh wow.
By
yeah.
studying
Studying.
in a cramped position for too long. So I didn't move my arm. There was inflammation.
How long is too long?
Probably a couple hours.
Oh, is that when like you're leaning like that?
So it was like I was leaning and just using my hand obviously to
Oh,
write. And so
yeah.
my elbow, so the lateral epicondyle is the bone just here.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
in the
yeah,
elbow
yeah,
joint
yeah.
as well. And so it inflamed. And then I went to bed thinking, oh, my arm hurts. Oh, maybe it's because I was studying. So I isolated it. When I woke up in the morning, I went to bend it and it was just excruciating pain. And so I went to my parents and my mom was like, can you do this with your hands? And then she's like, you've got lateral epicondylitis. And so I was
How
like,
good is that? You don't have to go to doctors
yeah.
anymore. You have to pay
and
for
then
that.
I went to my dad and he said the same thing. And so I went to the doctor to get a certificate. And then she's like, what did your parents say? I was like, oh, they said I have like tennis elbow. And she was like, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Oh wow. What the heck?
So it's really fun when we talk about certain medical terms.
That's pretty cool,
because,
actually.
Yeah, we
That's
get
pretty
to. My brother is the odd one out. Bless him though, because he's in game design, and sometimes
Oh,
he'll be
nice.
like, "Can you guys speak in layman's terms?"
Uh,
'Cause I have no idea what you're talking about when you're saying
What was
like,
the word that you used? Epicondylitis?
yeah, lateral epicondylitis.
Oh,
Yeah.
got that. Yeah, no, I hear because some of the boys do bench and
Mhm.
they get it.
Yeah, they
get
do.
it too.
Yeah,
And I'm like-
overuse
I'm
as
like,
well.
What did you do? Like maybe lift too heavy or something?
Yeah.
Like I know that can happen, but I think I've gotten it off by just leaning and like typing on my laptop. Like you know how you
Yeah,
lean
yeah.
on your and then you got like on the bed, and like
Yeah,
you're leaning
yeah.
forward
Yes.
like that. Yeah, I got it once on there doing that.
Yeah,
It's pretty,
so it's
pretty
not
shitty,
just
but
reserved for tennis players. It happens
Yeah,
all the
it was-
time. Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, exactly right. I was just on my laptop, but yeah, it was pretty poor that it happened just through there. Because I found like I was like, why is it like?
Yeah. Why can't
I thought it was a tricep issue. I thought it was a muscle issue, and then I found that it wasn't
Yeah.
actually.
It was the
elbow.
bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. You learn something new every day. How good is that?
Learning.
Yeah, this is
Learning a
very
lot.
interesting. I found today very informative. Because we'll definitely have you on again, and probably
Oh, thank
More
you.
shit
It was
to share.
really, yeah, it's really fun to be.
yeah, this is actually really fun. Like I'm talking to the doctor over here.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there one
back.
day.
You
You'll
will
be.
be. You will be.
Call
Sorry
me
about
back in about 6 years.
it.
See
Yeah.
how-
No, but that's the thing, man. Like, just hearing. Yeah, it's just so good. It's just so good to hear. This is sick.
It's really good.
I'm
Thank you
glad.
for sharing.
Sorry, babe. Keep us on track.
We'll go on to like what keeps you focused.
Mhm.
So obviously you're studying
Yeah.
hard.
You drink
all
coffee?
that.
I don't drink coffee as much as I used to.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Coffee actually affects me now in another way. But yeah, caffeine is definitely, you see a lot of it, obviously, at university campuses, people just sleeping wherever.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Please
literally
I believe
wherever. I think everyone loses their fear of sleeping in public once they go to university. It's just a mutual respect that we have.
It's that.
Yeah,
it's that
unless you're friends with the
unspoken-
person, there's like an unspoken kind of agreement that no one will take embarrassing photos of you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think I like that. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, it is hard to keep focused, especially when if it's a beautiful day and there's a million other things that you want to be doing.
Yeah.
It's often I find that the subject I want to study the most is the one that I have to prepare the least for.
Yeah.
In the sense that if I have an impending exam or a quiz and I have to study a certain subject, the other subjects that I have just seem so much more interesting and enticing.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
whatever I don't have due is what I
It's also
what I
interesting.
what I want to study.
Oh, right. Oh, so at school, were you that type to like, not do everything in last minute? Because I was not like that.
She was like.
I don't think-
prepared.
You'd be on top of it, right? Yeah.
I think by contrast, I wasn't. By contradiction, I definitely wasn't the person who would get the assignment and start straight away.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
yeah,
found
no, of
I
course.
found that I did once because I wanted to be really prepared.
I probably did it once myself.
Yeah,
but
and then I realized that I didn't get the result that I wanted because I
Oh.
But
do
she's
need.
definitely not a last minute person.
I
I'll tell you
No,
that.
neither am I.
I don't
actually. High five to that. Yeah.
Not the night before like me.
Oh yeah.
But then definitely people work in different ways, and I did realize that I needed some pressure on me
Yeah.
because that way I would eliminate things that I didn't need in an assignment. I found that I would be more concise and be
Yeah.
able to pinpoint more a little last minute. But then I was also a person who didn't like pressure.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of find in between, and obviously balancing everything as well is difficult. But what keeps me focused definitely is just having a little bit of routine as well. And sometimes I do have to give myself a little pep talk and say, you get through this, you'll be able to do the things that
Good
you want
on
to
you.
do.
Yeah.
Good
and
on you.
My parents also, like my family is grounds me really well, and they say do what you have to do, just work hard at it, give it your all. And
Yeah.
they definitely have supported me. When I say that I have to study, they say, okay, do your thing. And
good
yeah,
on 'em.
yeah, I'm really
Bless their
appreciative
hearts.
of that. Yeah.
That's so good.
Sometimes my older brother will come into my room just to check on me, make sure I'm not pulling my hair out, and
Yeah. Oh,
like
no,
just say,
definitely.
take a break, have a breather, make me
Yeah.
laugh. And
You know what? Actually,
yeah.
that's it kind of just brings up a thought that I had. I mean, what advice would you give to people that want to go into medical, like becoming a doctor or just anything
quite
in
interesting because I have
healthcare.
quite a number of friends that have just recently graduated from
say?
high school. So
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, and even if they're not going down the medical pathway, I found myself having to give a lot of advice, especially to
course.
like some high school leavers, because at that time you think that it's the be all and end all once you get your
Yeah.
result.
She's
Oh, yeah.
Going into the other question of your advice to like youth,
Ah,
especially.
me,
Yeah.
yeah,
'Cause you work
especially.
with a lot of youth.
Because I can relate to those people, because I was definitely one of them who thought it was
Mm.
the be all and end all,
Yeah.
and that there was only one path to go by. But once I I started to experience the world after school, I realized that there's so many different opportunities and pathways. So it's there's so many ways to get into what you want to do. And if you have that passion and that drive and that motivation for it, then yeah, you definitely can do it. It might not be the most conventional way, or it might not be the straight path that you initially planned for yourself, but you have a chance. Even if it seems like you don't, definitely there's so many chances 100%. For you. Yeah. And so I would give myself that advice to not take everything too seriously in that sense, and to give myself some time to really enjoy what I'm doing. And I think a lot of the time, because especially at our age, even for us now and for those younger than us, those a little bit older than us, there's that competitive aspect of the world. You know, everything is time driven, you know, everyone's running on like a schedule that it seems like the world has set for us. Why can't we run by our own clock and by our own time? And
amen to
that, like it seems like everyone's in such a rush to get there, to get to their career. And then often people look back and have regrets, like, I didn't do all these things I wanted to do. I didn't set aside time for the things that mattered to me, the things like travel or like new experiences, or even investing in other opportunities, like maybe, I don't know, experiencing seminars or really like nurturing certain hobbies that you have that can lead to better and bigger things. And so often I would tell myself, definitely my 18-year-old self, Giselle, take a step back and just, you know, take life as it comes, and really self-care, invest in yourself, do what you want to do. And
health is wealth.
Health is wealth.
Health is wealth.
It's not the be all and end all if you don't get the result
Definitely
you want.
not.
Just don't, and definitely don't be set back by failure. Don't be afraid of it, because every chance is a learning opportunity.
Beautiful.
That you get. Beautiful. I think everyone, when they receive a mark maybe that they don't want, like high school leavers, HSC, or if even on like a test you didn't do as well, even if you find yourself struggling with something that maybe once before you found really easy, don't beat yourself up on that. Rather, just look at where you are and see where you can go from there. And then don't look back and say, I could have done this better, because it's done. You're going to waste energy and opportunities thinking about what you could have done. You can't do anything more. You just have to go forward.
Learn from Giselle, guys.
She's
I'm still learning. It's
we're
still growing.
100%. Oh, that's so good.
That's really good. Okay, so we are nearly approaching the 1 hour mark, I think.
Almost. Well, this can go on and on. I mean, this is so good.
For sure. So we'll go into like the whole uni thing, because me, Jono and I didn't go uni.
I mean, you're part of the very few that, you know, well, obviously you figured things out. Well, I won't say figured things out, but you kind of, since 14.
Like you went to uni, but it wasn't like you have to go to uni. It was like, I want to.
You voluntarily went there because you know what I mean. Like that was
the pathway to becoming a doctor. You can't kind of like
you can't bypass it.
You can't really like do something else.
Self-study medicine.
You can't really do that. So it's different. Like you're, I think one of the few people that I think you're probably like the only person that's like, I have to go uni. I'm going to uni because like I need to do what I want to do. Everyone that I know of kind of go into uni like kind of, I don't know, maybe this is what I want to do. But for you, it's like a different situation. So like, what's it like for you to go to uni? What's uni like? Give us like a picture, because we don't know about that.
Oh, it definitely was very different to high school. I'll tell you that. Like, there definitely was a lack of the structure and routine that I was used to. So I was in a way culture shocked by that, because I was so used to having that day in and day out. It's the same thing. You know, the most that we ever had to do in high school was like switch between week A and week B.
I remember that. How good is that?
A little
I forgot about all that. That's
and
so
which day you preferred the most, you know, which had the best subjects.
Double period. Double period.
So when I left high school and I went to university and having to organize my own timetable, no one's going to tell you like when to do things. No one's going to chase you up for things. No one's going to tell you really, you don't get like a criteria and they say this is exactly what you have to do. Often, most of the time, you have to be at the very bottom in order to know how to get to the top. You start at the bottom of the stairs before you can go right up to the top. And that definitely was a learning experience for me, for someone who really enjoyed school. And I really, really loved like the experience of primary school and high school in that setting.
Yeah.
And so going to uni, I was really, they said that going to uni is a lot easier, but I don't know. It's probably because I was studying science, which did require a lot more contact hours.
What does that mean?
So contact hours are basically the face-to-face that you had to be at university. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Face-to-face, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So for example, some classes for some people might be online, but for science, you have to have a lot more face-to-face because a lot of the things you learn are by observation. And so
Right.
I went from having, because I did have to travel quite far to go to uni. It's just about an hour and a little bit, maybe a little bit more. And that was like driving to the station and then taking the train, walking a little bit, maybe catching a bus, something like that.
Yeah, right.
So the commute was a lot longer. But I went from going to school, waking up at maybe like 7:30, being at school before 8:30, and then going home at like 3:30, sometimes 4 if I stayed back a little bit longer. And then that was my day, like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I went from that to having to go to uni, waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, being in class by 8, having 3-hour labs, and then going home by 6 p.m. and then doing that 5 days a week.
You had to do the 5 days because I hear
I
like people go, they go
Yeah.
like
Oh
maybe
my
1 or 2
goodness.
days.
Yeah,
like-
yeah. I had to do the 5 days because my first semester at uni, I was doing 2 math classes, 2 biology classes, and 1 psychology class.
Yeah.
And so my two biology classes had a practical each week, and that was 3 hours every week, like 3 hours. So I would have 6 hours of lab every week, and then I would have tutorials for my other classes as well. So it was definitely full on, straight in the deep end.
Full on.
And I think in high school, science lab was very, very conditioned in the way that the teacher would go through things methodically.
Mhm.
When I was in my first ever biology lab at university, it was read this note, we'll give you a quick 5-minute briefing, and then you're on your own for 3 hours. Ask us questions if you need them. And I was dealing with things that I hadn't dealt with before, things like equipment, like micropipettes, and having to wear gloves and like deal with, I think one of our experiments, we had to deal with these little bugs.
Yeah.
We had to like
nice.
pick them up with tweezers and put them in a petri dish. And so it was, and then after that, those 3 hours, you would have a 10-minute debrief, and then you would go home and you have to study it and write it up all on your own. Have all these sources,
What
look
the-
up
Nice.
peer journals with language I could
peer
not.
journals.
Yeah,
I remember
peer
those.
reviewed.
Peer-reviewed
I did not
journals.
understand any of the terminology in that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was definitely.
What's peer reviewed?
Peer-reviewed journals are journals written by experts in the field.
Verified expert.
Yeah, and then they've been tested and like they've been like
applied.
applied, kind of like a thumbs up for like, oh, this works, this is good,
Yeah.
by other experts in the field
Mm.
globally even.
Mhm.
So like kind of verified and validated research works. So we had to look at those. Never before had heard of them. Coming out of high school, no one ever tells
yeah,
you
no
that.
one told you about
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I
so-
learned that.
That's definitely, that was a shock to me at university. And then just going by my own time, any time that I had to study, any free time, if I had any breaks, it just had to be like review this, because no one tells you what to review. Really, you had to really like learn and find
It's a
your
lot
own
of
way.
self-learning. It's like they kind of just throw
Yeah.
you there and, hey,
It sounds very
make sense
different
of
to a
it.
lot of people that I've spoken to about uni.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think this is medicine. It's a whole different game.
Maybe,
Maybe,
yeah, maybe
maybe.
science is very different. I had a couple of friends who did do arts as
Yeah.
well, and
I want to become a doctor now. This is crazy. No, that's it. Like I'm just like I'm so interested
He's
in it
not
now.
going to.
I'm not going to that. I mean, I think I'll just
Oh, you never know.
appreciate
You
from
can have
afar.
a career change.
Yeah,
I
oh,
mean,
maybe.
Change later
I
on,
mean,
you
like
know.
I'm just everything you're saying is just like this is heck. Like, cause I did have that when I obviously wanted to be a
Yeah,
pediatrician
yeah.
from back then, and I think I just saw the ATAR requirement. I'm like, yeah, nah. And I was
yeah,
like,
a lot
"There's
of
no
people
chance."
get like deterred from that as
Yeah.
What
well.
was the ATAR?
Man, it was
requirement?
like
Do you mind
90.
me asking?
It was like
Hey,
perfect,
yeah,
like
you have-
99.95, and then 97 at some
Good
places.
luck to me,
Yeah.
mate.
And then you still had to sit an interview and get like at least 80 and above in like the UMAT, which
Okay.
was like
I think I just like ripped myself off. I didn't give myself a chance. But I mean, like there was no check because I wasn't in ATAR. Like I was, and then I kind of dropped off, and then
Non-ATAR.
I went into non-ATAR. I mean, yeah, I'm getting so geared up. I think I'm just very excited for you. I feel like,
no.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited. Like this, it's so yeah. Anyway,
That's crazy.
I'm curious. Like, is there any like misconceptions about like doctors that like myth busting that you can
myth
like?
busting.
You know what I mean? Like people think
Ooh,
doctors
myth
are like
busting.
this, but they're actually like. Have you ever come across anything like that?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like a lot of misconceptions about doctors. Or anything
Yeah,
like that?
definitely. I think like
That's like not true.
it's
Like-
kind of hard for when I think about what they have to do. It's quite interesting because what I've had to learn for science, so I'm not even studying medicine at the moment. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of giving myself a background in science. Is right to like the molecular level, so microscopic molecular level.
Oh.
And how do you apply that when you're looking at like, so I did my major's anatomy, so I looked at a lot of like gross anatomy, so the like, you know, the body as you see it. But then a lot of the stuff that I also had to study, which is the histology, the study of tissues, was stuff that you can't see, the things under the microscopes. And like it looks like a blob the first time you see it, just a
Yeah.
bunch of different colors that have been stained. When I think of how they had to apply that, like seeing like when people get blood tests and things like that, it just blew my mind. Like, wow, they know it down to the molecular level, what's wrong. And then they have to like relate it back to like, oh, why your throat is hurting because there's this in your body. Like, yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's the whole idea. And then even thinking about like antibiotics, the way that they work, like how can something in a pill like rid your body of that bacteria?
Yeah. What's
and
your
things
thoughts
like
on
that.
that though? I'm curious.
Antibiotics? Well, obviously with my background in reflexology, I
Not about that.
oh really?
Are you not about that? Like, yeah, antibiotics, whatever.
Never thought.
Antibiotics, I see the worth in medications as well, but I just feel like there's a lot of influence as well from pharmaceutical companies to be reliant on certain medications. And you know,
The cat's out of the bag.
if you can stay natural, then stay natural. But a lot of
100%.
the time there's a pressure for people to have to like, this is the only option you have.
Yeah.
You can only take this medication. That's the only thing that's going to do for you.
It's
Yeah.
crazy that you say that. Like my mate, he had I think a cold. And he's on antibiotics.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
why do you need that, bro? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
is that like I
I'll
wouldn't.
drop a controversial
You-
one.
just-
Vaccines.
It is controversial, definitely, because I like when you look at the technologies like antibiotics and like vaccines as well, we definitely do need them because
Yeah.
what
No
they have
doubt.
done for us, the worth is incredible. Like when you can think that the world has been ridded of diseases entirely, like completely abolished
Yeah.
and eradicated. It's amazing. Things that were like killing people in
Just,
their
just
in
like
the
100 years
masses.
ago.
Yeah,
back in the
things
day.
like smallpox, for
Yeah.
example, and things like the Black Plague. They didn't
Yeah.
have those resources back then. But then for other drugs as well, I think there's definitely a misconception in the sense that that's the only way, and I
Yeah.
feel like the medical community, in a sense, is also driven towards those because it seems like a really big advancement. We have a magic pill that can cure us all, kind of thing. And I'm very much a holistic person in the
Yeah.
sense that, you know, all the aspects of your health, like emotional, mental,
Yeah.
physical, spiritual, all connected, interconnected, and inseparable, like inextricably linked.
Yeah.
So diet as well. A lot of people think that, you know, I can't change my health by just what I eat. But if you are what you eat, why can't you change your health as well?
Yeah.
And
So
like, you
good.
know, like you look at things like, for example, it might be controversial as well, but I feel like there's a need to talk about it, like type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
And, you know,
Yeah.
it's one of the leading killers in Australia.
Wow.
Things like cardiovascular disease and heart disease and things like that. But type 2 diabetes is reversible. But a lot of the time,
Yeah.
it's reversible by... So
Oh.
there are people, and this isn't like something wild and new, is that people have been able to get off the medication
Yeah.
because they've adjusted their diet,
Oh,
they've,
yes,
they've
yes,
improved
yes,
their
yes,
health,
100%.
and they've been able to, you know, really come back from that. But a lot of the time they say, you know, you just have to manage your insulin levels,
You got to
know,
take this magic pill.
take this pill, take this
Yeah,
injection, whatever,
Ooh.
and that's it. And you know, it's
Mm.
they can't live the way that they want to live just by doing that.
Yeah.
But then it's reversible. A lot of the time people don't know it's reversible. So the misconception, for doctors is, you know, it's the only tried and tested way.
Okay.
But then doctors definitely, they do look at all your options. And
Yeah.
the great thing about them is that they do their own study in different areas. They want to present the patient that they're seeing with the best possible care that they can.
Yeah.
And so they will encourage you to explore different options. And so the misconception is that sometimes you think, oh, they don't know what they're saying. But a lot of the time they do look into these things themselves.
Yeah.
And if they do recommend something, maybe it's a cause they're really passionate about and they have a lot of expertise in that area. So but then my heart is kind of torn in between the two, knowing like what I want to do and what the whole institution kind of condenses, you know.
I think by the time you're there, a lot of things, like more advancements, a lot of things would have changed. I reckon the institution might change as well. I don't know. It's still so far ahead, but like knowing that you're kind of that next cohort of doctors, like I'm in pretty good hands. I think we're all in pretty good hands here. So yeah, it's good. It's good knowing that for sure.
What's your thoughts on uni?
So if
Is it for everyone?
I wouldn't say that it would be for everyone, definitely, because there's other ways to get to and other careers that you can want to pursue that don't require university background. I think definitely if you really do want to explore different avenues, or maybe if you don't really know what you want to do once you leave school, it's definitely a good way to kind of expose yourself, because you meet a lot of interesting characters at uni, and you can really, there's so many opportunities for talking to people in different fields at university. So even if you don't know what you want to do, it's really good to explore. But for the people who maybe don't want to go down a path that requires uni qualifications, it's definitely like viable pathway. I think a lot of young people have that pressure that it's the only way you're going to get a secure and like steady like income and financial stability, and you know, it's the only way that you're going to be safe, essentially. But I have so many friends that didn't go down that pathway and they're doing fantastic. And so we just have to jump out of that fear, or that, you know, of risking something. And for those people who, you know, may want to go to uni later on, there's plenty of opportunities to enroll later. You don't have to go straight out of school.
Like people that are old are going, you know.
The
mature age
students.
Definitely, if they want to look at that. I think a lot of people think that they have to do a course or a degree to go to uni. You can go to uni for a non-award course. So if you just want to study one subject, I had a friend who actually only studied one subject because she wanted it to assist her in her occupation that she already had.
Right.
And so she wanted a little bit of background in, I think it was psychology and psychiatry, because of the people that she was working with. She didn't require it for her job, but she went to university just for that one course. So you can do that as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, not many people know that you can do that.
Try to do that.
Yeah.
Just for one subject, like, okay. Not one whole.
No, it wasn't a degree. She wasn't studying a whole degree. She was enrolled in a non-award course, so it didn't go towards a degree, but she would have like a qualification after that.
Perfect. Okay,
well,
cool.
like,
okay,
you
that's
know,
what I thought.
in that one
like
subject
a
area.
thing.
Yeah, like a certificate,
Okay,
kind of
cool.
saying that she completed it. She has this like little bit of background of education
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
subject.
yeah.
Yeah. So not a lot of people know that, which is fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So when I
Yeah.
met her, I was very intrigued. Like, oh, what are you studying? Oh, I'm just studying this one unit.
Oh, so that's how you came across that. I thought they would have told you. No, she told you.
She told me,
Oh,
yeah. I
right,
met her
interesting.
in that class, and I sat next to her, and I was like, oh, yeah, what are you doing? You know, just the usual exchange
Yeah.
between uni
And then she's like, I'm just doing this one
yeah.
unit. Right?
Unit,
Was it
yeah.
one
She's like,
unit?
I'm not actually doing
Like
a
the
degree,
full
like
on
the full degree. Yeah.
Oh, good on her.
And yeah, a lot of mature age
Shout
students
out
do
you,
that
whoever
too.
you are.
Yeah,
Shout out you.
whoever you are.
Yeah, good on you.
To her friend. Are you guys friends or just
Was it that one exchange?
It was that one exchange.
Ah, you know who you are.
You know who you are.
You know who you are.
All right, so what we'll go into now is you already pretty much answered the advice to your 18-year-old self in the question to what would you tell the youth today. We'll go I had one more question. Oh no, Jono had one more question.
What?
Number 4.
I already know.
Yeah. Well. So, you had a very important role at the time. This went down, and
This
this
is
was
fun.
a couple of years ago. And
Should I give background first?
well, no, because we're getting straight to it right now. So, what compelled you to tell Ali to confess to me?
It
at the
wasn't even
time?
like confess. It was just like
It was like a point of realization.
because I was like
Yeah.
stressing to her at
Yeah.
Starbucks, and I was like, I don't know if I like this guy. I don't know if
I remember that as if it were yesterday. That was kind
Really?
of fun. Because it was my first time ever to Starbucks as well.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, we're gonna have a little chill, a little downtime. The usual, our
Yeah.
chats, our
Of course.
conversations. They're like unrecorded podcasts.
They
our
are,
conversations.
for sure.
Always.
Yeah. But I remember you telling me this, and I was just so excited to tell
It was funny, I can just
to
imagine.
impart
Yeah.
some information.
wisdom.
Yeah. So
How do you remember it going down? I was just like,
I just remember you telling me,
Was she
oh, you
crying?
know,
She
I have
was, eh?
this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be new for you,
Okay,
hearing
yes, it
this
will
for the
be.
first time.
Yeah, I'm all
I
ears.
mean, I'm pretty sure you told him before.
I think I told. I
But
don't
I
know
wanna
if he
hear from you,
remembers. He
but-
wants to hear it from you though.
So we were at Starbucks, and then I said, oh, what's going on with you? And she was like, oh, I have this guy. He's my best friend. But
Yeah.
she's like, you know, we both think that maybe it's going down to something to be something more, and I don't know if I want that. And I was like, oh, well, you know, what are you afraid of? What's the fear there? And then she's like, oh, you know, obviously we have a good friendship. I don't want to ruin anything. It's kind of like, you
Yeah.
know, that
I get it.
a lot of
Yeah.
people, it's great when people who are friends, like, you know, get into a
Yeah.
relationship like that, because, you know, you have already that friendship to
Yeah.
build it off of. And it's funny because we were talking about this recently last time.
Yeah?
It sort of always comes up. It's because I remember telling you, like, oh, so you don't know if the equation of you two would work out really, or if you want to go down that path. But if I added someone else to the equation, if someone else took the opportunity to be with Jono, would you be okay with that as a best friend? And she kind of
Like,
just
nah.
came out.
Best friend, huh?
And the true feelings, the realization was there.
I
And
just had like a mad epiphany. She was like, what the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah, she wasn't expecting that, eh?
I did
We
not
had a
expect that from
moment.
her.
We had a
It was
moment.
Like a
It was-
big moment. I
yeah.
just laugh about it every time. Like,
Yeah, we laugh
we see
about
each
it now.
other,
It's
but-
good seeing the two of you as
Very funny, isn't it? This is actually
Yeah,
really, really funny.
I think it, especially in like in any case, like when there's the fear of risking something,
yeah.
people hesitate. But then the hesitation is almost the confirmation that you do want what you do want, you know?
Mm.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is a good one.
You
The
know?
hesitation is confirmation.
Yeah, the hesitation is the confirmation. You know, if someone says,
Wow,
asks
that's
you
crazy.
if you want this opportunity, or asks you a question and you hesitate,
In anything.
it means that your head's saying one thing but your heart's saying something else, and you already know the answer.
Oh
my
my
It's
It's almost
God.
like that inner coin flip.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes they say flip a coin to make a decision, because not so much like you'll do what the coin tells you to, but because you'll know what you really want,
Yeah.
you know?
Damn.
So
What the fuck?
that's what I was
I'm
kind of
speechless.
thinking about.
Are you dropping this on me right now? I'm not usually this like speechless. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is like the first time.
Yeah, so that's what compelled me. We'll add someone to the equation and see that if that changes it. Because if there's an opportunity, and you don't take it, someone else will. And are you going to be okay with giving that opportunity to someone else?
She wasn't okay.
Clearly not.
She wasn't going to
No,
be okay.
I was like, nah.
Well, good on you for
Good
taking
on
that.
you. Good on you taking that leap, babe. Good on you.
Thank you to her. If she never said that to me, I probably would have never
Yeah.
said anything.
Well, thank
to
you.
him.
Ah, that's okay.
Because I wouldn't be this guy if I didn't meet her.
We probably wouldn't be
Oh,
filming this
jeez.
podcast then.
Yeah. Like if
true.
you didn't say what you said, she wouldn't have got with me. I wouldn't be the guy who I am now, and I'd be some fucking, I don't know, who knows? Who knows? Who
Who knows?
fucking knows, bro?
All right, so now
And
we'll
thank
go.
you to your parents too, because then you wouldn't be here if your
Yeah,
your
that too.
parents. So
All
parents.
right, and then we're
Bless you
going to
Thanks,
go
Mum and Dad.
down
We're
like
gonna
the
go back,
whole
thanks.
generation.
Yeah,
right?
generation. Right from the
And,
beginning.
Right from the
and
beginning.
I love your brother too. I haven't met him, but I love the guy. Game design,
Shout
good
out.
on him. Shout out to your brother.
Shout out
Yeah.
to my older brother.
Sorry, babe. Keep us going.
Fast forward 10 years,
Mhm.
where would you like to be? And then there's a few different dot points, so mental and physical health.
Mental and physical health. I think I would like to be, healthy in both aspects of that.
Mhm.
Definitely, it's going to be demanding the career that I'm going
Yeah,
down, and so I hope that I don't sacrifice my own health
Yeah.
to pursue that dream, because it's important to take care of yourself first as well.
For sure.
So yeah, hopefully I'm all good in that department 10 years down the track. Yeah.
Wealth and business?
Wealth and business. I would actually really like to expand my dad's business. See where that goes. Probably one of my really ambitious dreams is to see reflexology in hospitals as another department.
Yeah.
And as an aid to medicine, because of the skepticism, but there's nothing to be afraid of once you get to know it, and there's so much that it has to offer. I would really like to be a pioneer for that movement and see it introduced, so that I can work with both my upbringing and my dream. Yeah.
You're
I
going
like
to
that.
date this back when it happens.
Yeah.
We'll have
Like,
this
play
podcast
this.
to remember.
Yeah, this is going to be so cool. Yeah.
That's so good. And then intimate relationship.
Oh, we'll see where we go with
Doctor. It's going to be a doctor, bro.
It has to be a
It's gonna be a
doctor.
doctor.
Bro, even better
Well,
than a doctor, eh?
It's gonna be-
I love children, so I would like to get married and
Yeah.
have a family someday.
Oh,
She's single,
pediatrics.
guys.
There you go.
Yeah,
Because you're going to have that.
Yeah,
you know.
so yeah. Oh wow.
Maybe it's another pediatrician.
just putting it out there.
Maybe it's another
Um,
pediatrician.
So to
Never know.
whoever you are, my future someone,
You know
good
who you
luck.
are. You know who you are.
eh?
Oh,
I'll be waiting.
yeah.
All
You're going to be
right.
doctor.
So you already then went into a little bit like future family. So
yeah.
like direct family and then friend relationships. Where do you like to see that going?
I'd like to see all of us back here. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
For
you
sure.
guys would have a studio or something, and we'll have those mugs that
Yeah.
you were talking
We'll
about.
get those mugs going.
Customized
Those
coffee
mugs.
mugs.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely like to continue and
We'll
and nurture,
we'll
those
definitely have you on.
friendships.
You know,
We'll
I
have
know
you
your
on
schedule's
again,
gonna be,
yeah.
a bit,
A little bit busy, you
hard.
know.
Not, you know.
I
but-
I'll
mean,
make
if you could
time.
fit us in, you know.
Yeah, I'll
That'd
put
be
you
good,
in.
yeah.
You'll be in the
Sweet.
schedule.
And then spiritually, like you're already obviously a very spiritual person.
Mhm.
Like you go your church, you pray and all that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
spiritually in 10 years.
Oh yeah, I'd hope that my faith would be stronger. Like there's always that yearning to learn more, and I'm so blessed in that sense that I've been really grounded by my faith. It's in all of my
Yeah,
aspects,
yeah,
and
cool.
I'm able to do what I can do because of that,
Because
and
of
because
that.
of what I have that faith in God. So I'd like to see, definitely, we're like this, we're really tight.
Yeah.
So I'd hope that would
For
only
sure.
continue.
100%.
Yeah.
That's so good. And then happiness.
Happiness.
Pediatric surgeon. Right. I'm happy for her, bro. But yeah, sorry, I'll let you answer the question.
Yeah, no, I think we can already be happy now, because it's only when you realize what you already have that you'll have enough. If you always think that you don't have enough, then it will never be enough. So I hope that I continue to remind myself that everything is a blessing. and that every day is a blessing, and be happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. 100.
Love that.
100.
All right. So before we get into like the rapid fire questions, social media. Maybe your dad's website.
What's your
has
dad?
it been out yet or not?
So we
yet?
do have a Facebook page at the moment.
Yeah. What's
Yep.
the
So
Facebook
that's
page?
the Good Samaritan Medical Reflexology Research Foundation. You can find us on Facebook. Give us a like.
Definitely give us
I
just like
call
give them
it.
a like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Call us over.
We'll put it in the thing.
Yeah.
Description.
We'll link it in the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you call up and make an appointment, I'll probably be on the phone. So
Hey.
you can have a little chat with me, and I'll set you up. And
100.
Yeah.
Where are you guys based?
We're based in St. Mary's.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Locals.
so we're
Local.
nice and
All
local.
you locals out there.
Yeah, we do have a lot of people come from overseas even.
Wowza.
When they do come from
Wow.
overseas, we have a couple of people who do come and visit us every now and
Yeah.
again when they happen to be in the country.
That's mad.
Wow.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, not limited to distance,
To
guys.
distance.
Come down.
Yeah, I love it.
You're always
I
welcome.
love it.
Always welcome. Let's get into the rapid fire questions. You have about 3 seconds for each one to answer.
Oh, pressure.
We'll get into it. Ready and study or practical?
Study.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Challenged or stressed?
Challenge.
Silver or gold?
Silver.
Walking or running?
Walking.
Listening or reading?
Reading.
2 times speed or 3 times speed?
2 times.
Jesus Christ.
Assertive or passive aggressive?
Assertive.
Logical or creative?
Creative.
I know you don't have a partner, but date night or night out?
Night out, I suppose.
Nice. And we'll finish off with this one's for the listeners. What piece of advice would you leave them with?
You're not stressed. You're challenged.
That's the one. That's the one. I
Because
like
a challenge can be overcome. Don't say you're
Overcome.
stressed, say you're challenged, because stress feels like an illness,
that.
and
Yeah.
a challenge can be overcome.
I love
And
that.
it will grow you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Giselle.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Oh,
Lovely
thank
to have
guys.
you. This
no,
is so
it was so
informative.
good to have you guys, like, to be here for this opportunity.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely something new for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate having you
Do you
on.
want to finish
This
off
is
with a
sick.
song, eh?
Who? What
Because
song?
she sings.
Oh no.
Oh my God! Why would you do it like that, babe? Come on.
Another rapid fire question.
Another rapid
Another
fire
rapid fire
question.
question. Yeah, no, I
Thank you
appreciate.
for
I
coming
appreciate it.
through.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
hope every listener listening enjoyed
Hope
that.
you guys got something out of that. I know I did.
Definitely
I
go follow
learned
their
heaps.
Facebook page, their local St. Mary's.
Yeah, we'll link
service.
it in the
Hit them up
thing.
for any anything with-
Any ailments you might
yeah,
have.
There you go.
Anything at all.
Yeah, come by, make an appointment, guys. We're here for you.
Lovely.
Okay, sweet. I love you guys. We love you.
Bye.
That was Giselle again. She's gonna be doctor. Yeah, guys, she's gonna be doctor. Okay, bye. Love you.
Thanks.